Is pet ownership too easy? And more specifically, are guinea pigs too easy to get? Let me explain. Hey, I'm Scotty. I'm a volunteer at the Los Angeles Guinea Pig Rescue, and I got a comment on one of my previous videos about the crisis happening with animal shelters right now. And so I want to read that, but I want to talk more broadly about guinea pigs and how easy they are to obtain, even though they are exotic pets, and some of the ramifications of that. And I want this to be a respectful discussion, and I look forward to your comments. So I mean nothing but respect, and I understand that everybody has a different situation. But here in California, specifically in Los Angeles, but in many, many places, many larger cities, but all over, there is a crisis of homeless animals, and guinea pigs especially, being disposable. And so my question is, if they're so easy to get, if there's pet stores selling them everywhere, what is that impact on their well-being? My personal experience is that easy ownership leads to neglect, regret, poor care, and abandonment, and basically a worse outcome and a worse experience for not only the animals involved, but also the people who purchase them. And it's my view that if guinea pigs were harder to find, that would weed out, that would separate those who were responsible and wanted to give them proper care and were willing to do the research, from those people that get them as impulse buys, that see them as disposable pets, starter pets, or just something that they need to get for their kids to teach them responsibility. And inevitably, when that doesn't stick, the animals are the ones that suffer. They end up abandoned and neglected. But I want to go ahead and I want to read this comment. And again, this is very respectful. And I do appreciate the point of view. I want this to be a place of conversation. And I think that all viewpoints are valid, especially or if they are done in good faith. So remember, this is in response to my video about the situation as it relates to the LA 400, a hoarding situation, and all the piggies that are in shelters. And you know my mantra, don't shop, adopt. But I'm going to get more into that in a minute. Let's read this comment. A rescue in some smaller cities would be wonderful, but I know that can't always be possible. I get that. I understand that. If I could and had the money and the space and time, I would start one in my city or foster as many guinea pigs as I could, but that's not an option for me. That's not an option for me I think it meant right now. I'm tired of hearing that pet stores are bad, evil. Yes, I agree that some pet stores shouldn't, but in some places in the country, that's all we have. And I want to get into some of the specifics in response to this specific message, but I wrote down some thoughts that I have about this topic in general. So let's ask ourselves, is having a pet a right or a privilege? Now, I tend to think that it is a privilege. No one is guaranteed a right to have a pet, to own another life. Okay, that is a privilege that we have, and with that comes responsibilities. So you could say it's a right, you could say it's a privilege, but what are or what should be the barriers, the restrictions, and the considerations to having a pet? And that makes me think or want to ask the question, do these barriers, if they are higher, if having and finding animals like guinea pigs specifically, if that barrier is higher, if they are harder to find, if they are more expensive, does that lead to better outcomes for these animals? So that's basically what I want to raise this question, and we can continue this conversation in the comments below. I really do want to hear what you have to say. Again, All comments in good faith are welcomed and encouraged, and I want our community to be a place for civil discourse. And, sometimes in the comments we get very emotional and heated, and as long as it's in good faith, I welcome it. I think that's great. There's no reason to be mean or to be negative when we're all here, because we love our guinea pigs, our animals, we care about them, and we want the best for them. So when it comes to that question, if you don't have a dedicated rescue, you don't have guinea pigs or whatever pet you're looking for in the shelters or easily accessible to you except for a pet store, then my question would be, where are you going to find that community and that support to help you take care of your pets? That includes the information and the vets and, where are you going to get the proper supplies if you live in a place where there are no rescues. Now, I would also say, and it's been my experience, that any time, any place where you can buy and sell animals, there are going to be people looking to rehome them. And I would also say that isn't a 3-hour drive or so, or, you make a day trip of it, isn't that long drive worth saving a life? You go on a road trip to save a life. I do understand not everybody is able to make a long road trip. Some people have mobility issues, etc. But if that is the case, that's also going to affect your ability to give them proper care and a high quality of care, especially in an emergency when they are sick. And people say all the time, oh, I had guinea pigs. I had so many guinea pigs and none of them ever got sick. Wow. Well, then you are living in some magical miracle situation. But for the rest of us, we as people and animals may get sick from time to time, and being able to take care of them, to take care of ourselves, that's just a reality of life. So of course, I might as well mention, having an emergency kit is essential, especially if the vets are far away. And it seems to me that most likely, if you live in a place where there are no rescues and there are no shelters that have the type of pet, specifically guinea pigs, that you're looking for, then the chances of them having experienced exotic vets that see these animals is also going to be much decreased. So what is my problem with pet shops? I've said before, in most cases, pet shops offer an unrealistic presentation of standards of care. They often have them behind glass in like aquarium type enclosures. They often have multiple boys in this, like 3, 4, 5 boys that are young, that are just about to get to that age where they start fighting. Every time I go personally to my Petco, they hardly have any hay, if any at all. The pellets are down to nothing. Whenever I stuff hay in the little holes, breathing holes at the top of the enclosures, they come running like they haven't had hay all day. Also, when it comes to pet stores, they don't really have that much knowledge about proper care, and after the sale they offer zero support, versus a dedicated rescue is going to be part of your community, and they're going to be there for you for the lifetime of your pets and beyond. That's just the way it is. That's what I've seen, and the rescues that I have worked with and that I have communicated with all around the country and all around the world, their primary concern is the well-being of the animals, of the guinea pigs or whatever animals that they are rescuing. And that is what they care about most. But pet stores, their number one priority is their bottom line, is profit. And that's not to say, even in these big box pet stores, a lot of the people that work there, they care very deeply about the animals. Some of them are extremely knowledgeable, and every store, every individual that works there, they are just like guinea pigs. They are individuals, and they have their own priorities and their own care, their own sense of care and understanding. And many of them are wonderful. Many of them have reached out to me, and I've gotten to know quite a few people who work at pet stores all over. And for those who have reached out, I really am grateful, because they are the ones that are that last line of defense when it comes to the well-being of the animals. But many times it is just a job, and they only know what they were taught by their manager, who in many cases only knows what they were taught by their manager. And so it's this game of telephone when it comes to proper care information. So let's get back to my original question, which is pet ownership a right or a privilege? And should I just be guaranteed to be able to have whatever animals I want? For instance, in California, ferrets are not legal. And because they're not legal, many vets will not see them. Some will, and their priorities are obviously the well-being of the animals, and they don't care whether they are legal or not. But that can be a big issue. And likewise, I love dogs. I grew up with dogs. I love them. Anytime, and you know this to be true if you've ever spent any time with me and I happen to be around a dog, anytime I see a dog out there in the world, my day immediately gets better. Immediately. I love dogs, and usually they love me. And when a dog is nervous around me, it hurts me. It breaks my heart. You know, any animal really, but when a dog is nervous around me or doesn't get good vibes from me, it hurts me deeply. And so I love dogs. I'd love to have a dog. But right now, especially with all these piggies and my current situation, it's just not possible. And it wouldn't be fair to them, and it wouldn't be fair to these guys. So I've made that conscious decision not to have a dog, even though I love them. It just wouldn't be practical. So I think sometimes in certain situations, just because you love them and want one doesn't mean that your situation affords you the ability to give them that standard of care. And I really do believe that there are minimum standards of care, just like parenting. We all have different parenting styles. I've talked about this before, but there should be certain minimum standards that we all can agree upon. And sometimes being in a place or in a life situation where you can't meet those needs, you just have to be honest with yourself and say, now's not the time. Sometime in the future, I'll be ready, but now isn't the time. And it's not for me to say, it's for that individual to make up that decision. And like I'm saying, this is in good faith. So I'm really saying this, you know, in good faith, and I hope that we can have this conversation in good faith together. So I read this person's comment again, and they did mention the city that they live in. I don't want to say what it is, but I did go on Pet Finder, and I did go on Guinea Pig Finder, and they were right in this case. I couldn't find a guinea pig or on Pet Finder or on Guinea Pig Finder within 100 or 200 miles of them. Now, I do know of several rescues that are between 4 and 6 hours away from there. And for me, personally, because of all of what I've just said, you know, and I'm in a position where I'm driving all the time. I drive 3 hours to the LA Guinea Pig Rescue. I drive 2.5 hours to the vet that I trust. And so if I was in that situation going 5 hours, 6 hours, a whole day trip, you know, that would be just an amazing adventure to save a life. And I hope that you would think that that's the case too. But I do understand that there are situations where that isn't practical for people. But I do want to point out some, you know, forgive me, a logical inconsistency in this message here, because it does say, if I could and I had the money and space and time, I would start a rescue in my town or foster as many pigs as I could, but that's not an option for me right now. So that implies that there actually are animals that need to be fostered, that need to be rescued in your town. You're just saying that you don't have the time, the resources, the funds in order to start a rescue. But you aren't saying there's no reason why I would ever start a rescue because there aren't any animals that need to be rescued. I did also go on Craigslist after I failed to find any piggies on Pet Finder and Guinea Pig Finder, and there were some in some cities just a few hours away, but those posts were kind of old. So I realized that if you wanted to get guinea pigs right now and you happen to live in this town that this person lived in, you might be waiting a little while. But man, boy, do I love having a dream, having a goal, and having to wait for it, having to work for it. Boy, that just gives me something to look forward to. And I would hope that you feel the same way. But I do understand, how long are you going to wait? How long are you going to sit around with no prospects? So I do understand that. And let me also say, I am not against pet stores. I am not against breeding. And I've said this before, in that situation where you live in a place where there aren't guinea pigs or whatever pet that you are searching for in the shelters. Now, if you were looking for a dog, now here in California, you cannot buy or sell dogs, cats, rabbits in pet stores. There are private breeders, and that's probably where all these guys are coming from when, that get stuck in the shelter. Every shelter in the city of Los Angeles, the county of Los Angeles, every shelter has dogs, every shelter has cats, pretty much every shelter has rabbits. So they must be coming from backyard breeders, accidental litters, on purpose litters. If somebody was going to buy a dog or a cat or a rabbit from a breeder when there are the same animals stuck in shelters, I would say that is just, it's unethical. It's just wrong. And luckily and thankfully, I think most people in our society, they agree with that. They say, and I get it. There are some people who they want this very specific breed, but I don't know. The definition of selfishness is caring about your self-interest over the interest of others. And when there are animals, dogs, cats, rabbits, being euthanized every day across cities, all across the country, all across the world, to get a special breed pet when there are very similar animals being euthanized, that is the definition of selfish. Now, this is my opinion that I'm making in good faith. Tell me why I'm wrong down in the comments, but do it respectfully in good faith, and we can have that conversation. Now, maybe you have certain special needs and you need a certain trained animal for, maybe you have a disability, or, there's very specific circumstances where you need a specific animal. I get that. I respect that. I think that's amazing. But for the majority of people, when it comes to dogs, cats, rabbits, go to the shelter, save a life. And when it comes to guinea pigs, and you live in a place where there aren't any guinea pigs in the shelters, there are no rescues around, congratulations. You live in a utopia. I'm jealous. Go to the pet store. Make sure that pet store is taking care of their animals. Check out my free guinea pig care guide on my website. And if they're not living up to those standards that that is right, that we in the guinea pig community all around the world accept as minimum care standards, tell them, work with them. Again, do it respectfully, because as Saskia has really ingrained in me, you do catch more flies with honey than you do with certain other substances that are less desirable. So, but work with them and be a guardian for the animals. But if you are in that magical situation where there are no guinea pigs in shelters, in rescues, and all there are good faith, ethical breeders and good faith, ethical pet stores, great, amazing, But you know what? There are animal rescue transports happening all the time, going from East Coast to West Coast, North and South. You could reach out to some of these rescues and say, hey, we don't have any guinea pigs in my area. Next time you have a caravan of animals coming through, I would love to adopt. And maybe they would. So I think there's always options. If there's a will, there's a way. You do not have to shop at a pet store just because you think you do. That's a crisis of imagination and creativity. But like I said, if you live in a situation where there aren't these animals floundering, being dumped in parks, being dumped in golf courses, being dumped in trails, literally being put in dumpsters, being put in boxes on the side of the road. If that's not your case, that's not your situation, amazing. So if my message about making the requirements harder, I would love it if guinea pigs cost $1,000 and you had to drive 10 hours away to get a pair of guinea pigs from a rescue. Personally, I would love it because what I see is the opposite. I just said they are dumped everywhere. All of our shelters, all of our rescues are full. The pet stores keep selling them. People show up at the LA guinea pig rescue, and the day before they bought a guinea pig at the pet store, then they start doing the research and they realized, oh, my guinea pig is lonely. Also, my guinea pig is sneezing. Also, my guinea pig has some kind of fungus on its nose. Also, all of these issues, and the pet store is like, oh, well, it's too late. We don't offer any support. Most pet stores will have a 30-day return policy. They might also have an in-store vet. Never return your new pet to the pet store vet. It's almost always a horrible outcome. Take them to a guinea pig savvy vet. It will cost more, but you can treat them at home. And then they find us. And then we are left to pick up the pieces to clean up the mess, which we will do. But it does take a toll on us. It does. Now, I've been saying this a lot lately because I heard Joan Baez say it. I don't know if this was her. I'm not sure where she got the quote from, but as it relates, we can't change the tide, but we can save some fish. Now, we can't change this rescue situation the way it is, this crisis that we have here, but we can save the individuals. And year after year, it gets worse, it gets worse. The adoptions go down, the surrenders go up, and the shelters are full, the rescues are full, and the pet stores continue to sell animals, boom, 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 But for each individual that we save, that's what fuels us. That's what keeps us going. So I'm talking about my situation. If yours is different, then that's great. But this is my channel. If you want to start a YouTube channel or, some kind of social media account where you share your experiences, great. Send me the link to it. I'd love to follow. I'm always open. My heart is open. I want to keep learning and keep growing and keep sharing what I've learned and be part of this community. Patches, leave grape alone. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for indulging me and being a part of this conversation. Again, I don't mean to call this person out. I don't mean to do anything other than spark what I think is an ongoing and very critical and interesting conversation. And I want to see it from all sides. So I hope that you have felt that I'm being respectful, coming from a good place, in good faith, and I hope that you'll do the same. And let's continue that conversation down in the comments. If you do want to learn more about guinea pig care, I have a free guinea pig care guide that's here. Here's where you subscribe. I've got 2 more videos right here, and I'm really grateful for all of your support. Thank you guys so much. Until next time, thanks for watching.